Okay, today's date it is July 19th, 2016. It's 9:43 in the morning. Since I made a post yesterday about a political one about Donald Trump, and it was sort of maybe more, well, no, I ripped into, but it was more of a, well, it wasn't. I talked a bunch about conventions going back to a long time ago, before most all of you were born. Uh, and since I did, and then since there's some news about yesterday, which was the first day of the Republican convention, I'm going to put a few cents in on what's going on. Yesterday, the Republican they decided that each day of this convention, their convention is going to have a theme. And yesterday it was attack Hilary Clinton. Well, it was law and order, but because they think that Donald Trump, for some reason, does well on that topic. Republicans have used that before. Law and order, crack down on the crime, lock up the blacks, stuff like that, and that's worked for them in the past. So they're trying it again, and they think it's a strong point for Donald Trump. But yesterday, the big thing, all the speakers yesterday were trashing Hillary Clinton. I mean, big time. She deserved to be in prison. She should be locked up. She's a liar. She's all this kind of stuff, just ripping into her. There was a lady who, her son worked for the State Department, and he was in Benghazi. I can't even say it now. I've heard it so many times screamed. And he was one of the people killed over there. And of course, the Republicans spent millions and millions of dollars trying to use that to stop Hillary. There have been all type of investigations and everything. Of course, Hillary had nothing to do. She was she was Secretary of State, but it's an unfortunate situation that happened under Reagan. There were, I forget how many, 4 or 5 embassies that were attacked, and we lost 200 or 300 Marines at a base over in Lebanon, I think it was. So that was supposed to be yesterday's thing. And then, of course, the big thing for yesterday was, the speech by Trump's wife. That was to be the big thing. So they had him. It's customary, of course, that the candidate, like in this case, Donald Trump, when he's nominated, you don't see him until he's nominated in the convention hall. And then, the person shows up and the balloons drop again and everybody goes fucking crazy, But the first day of the convention, Trump couldn't avoid, but the idea was that his wife was going to humanize him, and she was going to tell some stories to get everybody to know that, hey, he's a good guy. And so his wife and she hasn't been very much in the public eye. Been kind of staying at home. But so yesterday, Trump shows up and they have a special, it looks like fog. They have the lights just right and everything, and they have this fog, and then he's behind like kind of a screen, I guess with just lighting or whatever. And then you see his outline, or he's obscured except for this form. And the GOP people are going fucking crazy, Jesus Christ has arrived. He's beamed down. Scotty beamed him down. Then he comes out and he introduces his wife, and then she makes a speech. And I blogged about this yesterday while she was making the speech, the fact that she was using teleprompters. And I know you're thinking, well, sure, you know. And I say sure, too. I mean, everybody should, if you need to use them, you should use them. And a lot of politicians should. The reason I comment about that, if you read the blog, is because the Republicans and Fox News for months and a year or maybe longer, I think every day any time that Obama made a speech or maybe somebody else did, they would say, he used a teleprompter. He used a teleprompter. He was using a teleprompter. They were just going on like, and who the fuck cares, you know? But they made it like, my God, you know, he violated one of the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not use a teleprompter. And they just went on about it. And I don't think it had any traction. Well, of course, with that small 30%, anything bad you say about the person they happen to hate. But for the rest of the world, it was like, oh, yeah, so, you know, who cares, you know? Doesn't matter. So she's using a teleprompter. And, of course, other people there but she's using a teleprompter. And God bless her, you know, she's not a public figure. I don't think she ever wanted to be a public figure. So she did okay, but she was definitely reading it was a teleprompter. And she tried her best. Some people can do the teleprompter, like Obama and other politicians, and you're not even sure they're probably using a teleprompter usually. But not her, you know. She read every word on it, and then she would go to the other side and read every word on it. So she was reading the speech that was on her teleprompter. I commented about that. No disrespect to her, but just because Republicans, that was something for a year or so that they screamed about every fucking day. So then I made the blog entry, and I think it was about 2 hours later, but when she made her speech, about an hour later, the news broke that her speech, a paragraph or more, had been quoted word for word from Michelle Obama's speech at the Democratic convention, I think 2008 or something. And when I first saw the headline, you know, plagiarism and whatever, I've seen a lot of things where somebody says something's been plagiarized, and especially a lot of times with music. Of course, I don't have a ear for music, but they say, they stole my material, and then you hear them side by side, and I go, I don't know. I mean, it's close, but people, you know, and everybody could come to. So then I watched the video. I think they show it here. And it was word for word. I mean, it definitely, whoever wrote the speech for her, man, I can't believe. So I wondered how were the Republicans going to respond to it? And I saw a little bit on TV of some high-profile Trump people who are supposed to go out and be, you know, saying, "Hey, great, we had a great day, our first day," and so they had to go out and face that. Oh my God, I feel sorry for those people. But so they went out and it was like, so I just saw a couple of them, and then I went to bed. It was like, well, that's not really important. What's important is our thing of attacking Hillary, and what's important is Trump is a man. You know, they just didn't. You know, so I wondered how were they going to handle it. And so I just woke up a little while ago, and I go to CNN, and well, I went to Fox News, their site, and I was surprised. I went to Fox News. That was a big thing on it. I thought that's unusual. Sometimes stuff like that they don't even report for a while unless they really have to, or it's buried someplace. And they had that up front main page or whatever. But when you read it, it was like they didn't admit that it was plagiarism. It was, well, there are some words that are the same. And when you read the thing, you weren't sure who had copied from, who had copied from who. So they were trying their best at that point. But now, and I was wondering, what is Trump going to do? And when I blogged about it, by the way, I said, Trump is so cheap, and a lot of people think that he doesn't have near the money that he says he does. But he's so cheap, and there's been stories about from just common business people, small business people, most all of them I think, that have tried to do business with Trump, and Trump refuses to pay. He finds, well, the material's not, it's just, you don't want to do business with him. So I said, this is so stupid for somebody to do something, because as soon as that speech was made, I mean, anybody, you and I could have, anybody, you don't have to just do a Google search of a few words from the thing and it would pop up that it was stolen word for word from a speech that Michelle Obama made. So I wondered, what is Donald Trump going to do? And he is, one way we learn about our presidents or presidents to be, is how they run, because their campaign, a campaign is a big thing. To be elected or to be running for president of the United States, you need tons and tons of money, and you need tons and tons of organization and tons of people. And it's up to he has people that he hires, but Trump has been fucking up everything, and if he can't run a campaign, I sure don't want him trying to run the United States. So I wondered, how is he going to respond? And it looks like now which is a big mistake. Donald Trump's campaign manager denied allegations Tuesday that Melania Trump plagiarized a Michelle Obama speech on the first night of the Republican National Convention, calling the accusation just really absurd. That is such a fucking, that's a mistake, and it's a big mistake for them to take that they need to, here Chris Christie, I see at the top says, no way Melania Trump was plagiarizing Michelle Obama's speech. They needed to find out right away what happened. Whoever wrote the speech, I mean, of course, there was. It wasn't just you get somebody good, trustworthy, dependable to write the speech, but then the speech should have been. I'm sure they should have been invented. People should have looked at it. Lots of people should have studied it, and now they need to find out what happened. Right away, they should find out what happened, and then they just need to admit their mistake.
Well, she didn't call the ambulance yet, and then she called her doctor when I was there, and her doctor, God, they're stupid. Her doctor said she took 2 on top of the 1. She already took 3.
I'm making a YouTube video, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
She took 3 doses of her medicine for that. So, and the doctor said she could take up to that. Well, now it's down a bit. It went from 350 or 340.
It's under 300.
Yeah, and her doctor said that they should make an appointment. And she
at his office?
There. Yeah, instead of going to the emergency room, which I think is retarded. But anyway, so.
Yeah, since it's happened again, yeah. And she did everything after yesterday's episode She's been doing it. She hasn't been eating the wrong things, and she's been taking her medicine, and she stopped taking the steroids and the albuterol. So it should not have gone up like that today. Of course, it takes the steroids. It takes a few days to wear off, but
yeah, the doctor said he thought it was from the steroids, and for her to call if it goes up more. Other than that, to make it.
But God, 350. But
that's,
it's under 300 now.
It's but we're gonna wait and take it again.
Oh yeah.
In a couple hours, and just kind of keep an eye. So.
Okie doke. I got to email the family and tell them no again.
Yeah.
Yesterday I sent an email that said she's going. They had to send one right up, huh?
I have a feeling she'll be going though. If it's.
It sounds like it, yeah.
She should just go.
Okie doke.
Sorry.
So, anyway, the Trump campaign, they're making a big mistake. They've made big mistakes. They're making it worse. They needed to find out immediately what happened, handle it by, if the speechwriter, fire the speechwriter, fire some people. You can't fire your own kids. Supposedly his family, is involved in everything. So you can't fire your kids. Can't fire your ex-wife. That my daughter, who came over from Sweden. She's also a Swedish citizen. She married a Swedish man, and she came over here to visit. And then we've had so many of things going on that just when she is getting ready to head back to Sweden, stuff keeps her here. So my ex-wife is handicapped. She had polio when she was 5, and when I married her, she was 18. I was 26. She had to use crutches to get around the house. She could just do fine, but her legs could give out at any time, so she had to use crutches if we ever went any place. So I spent much of my life carrying a purse for her. Then she also has breathing trouble, has very bad breathing trouble, asthma and bronchitis. And then she developed, then she had cancer, and she was very lucky. She'd been cancer-free for, I don't know, what is it, if you're cancer-free for 3 years or whatever it is, she's beyond that point, way beyond that point. But because of, for the last few years, she's been totally unable to walk. She has to use a wheelchair for everything. She just cannot walk. So she's had that. And then recently she developed diabetes, which I also developed in the last few months. And her blood sugar just recently went way up above. She was keeping it under control. Well, a little higher than what it should have been, but under control. And she was having breathing trouble recently, and so she started. She was prescribed. She was prescribed steroids, and also now she always has. For years she's taken albuterol for the breathing machine, stuff like that. And yesterday or the day, I think it was yesterday. I'm not sure if the day before, but her blood sugar went over 300. Over 300. 300 is high. That's very high. Over 300, you need to call 911 and get. Well, if it goes over 300, they would say do something to get it down. But if you don't get it down right away, call 911. And so she almost called, but she got it down. And then it was, she's been doing it, been checking her blood a lot. And in fact, I'm going to have to give her. I've got now where I don't check it that often, so I've got extra because her doctor sees her once a month, and he prescribes medications for her once a month, so she has to go back and see him. Getting out for her to get to his office once a month is a pain. It's difficult for her. We don't have a van or anything with a chair lift or whatever. She also doesn't have an electric wheelchair. But she almost called yesterday or whatever. She got it down, and then it's been high but staying down under. And then just a while ago, earlier, not long ago, my son called over from there and said that Dara felt like she was going to pass out and she was getting ready to call 911. So Hilary went over and I just sent a email before I started this video to a family member saying that she was calling 911. And so anyway, you just heard. I'm not sure how much this microphone picked up of Hilary. I guess I'll find out. We'll find out about this microphone a little more, won't we? So this is longer than what I intended to be, but then you're getting you're getting some education from me, medical information from me. Yes. What is it? What is it? Master. I can't remember it now. Jack of all trades, master. Is it master of none? Jack of all trades, master of none. Meaning a person knows a little bit about a lot of stuff, but not enough about one thing to be, So anyway, 300 and when she had the trouble yesterday or whatever, Hilary got right on the computer and entered in, did a Google search over 300 and found a story right away there of a woman who had diabetes but did not really everything was doing fine, but she had some breathing trouble, so she took steroids and albuterol, and her blood sugar went bucking through the roof. So then that's first we knew. So then Dar called the health insurance company we both use, and the hospital or the insurance company nurse said, "Oh yeah, steroids really bad if you have diabetes and with causing blood sugar to go high." And so that's the situation now. It takes a while to come off of steroids, and she stopped yesterday or maybe the day before. I can't remember. She stopped taking the steroids, but they stay in your system for a while. And so I'm thinking that maybe but my blood sugar has been doing really well. My doctor is really happy. I'm just a little bit above, and sometimes I'm in the range where it's normal, 100, in that range, and it's usually just a little bit over. I haven't taken it, I think, my blood sugar in like a week or longer. By the way, if you watched my video yesterday, the fingerprints worked. There's an excellent diabetic diet program here for. You can of course get that by. I need to set a camera up just for showing something like this, a second camera, or I need one that I can control more with the. Well, I've got one to review. One of those. It's like a GoPro imitation, and you can control it. The settings or whatever with this, so maybe I'll set it up and be able to zoom in or whatever as a second camera. But what I was going to say was I been putting my blood sugar every day that I took it, and there for a while, for months, I was doing it every day, and but I was putting it on that program. Well, first I was putting it on the software that I downloaded from the people that I get my scripts from and whatever, and then I'm not sure if it was Windows 10 was responsible, but I lost my data for some reason. Something to do with my login. It didn't know who I was or something, and the data was lost. So then this program here, I'll try to remember to put the link underneath it. It's, you can get it from the Android store. You can get it free, or you can also pay, and I paid, of course, a small amount of money to get the pro version. And I put it in there, and you can go back and look at the data, and it does everything. And 2 times when I went to the doctor's office, I printed it out, using that. No, the first time I used that other program, but second time I printed it out. You can back it up also, the data. And I did not back it up. You can back it up to Google, to the cloud, to an iNote, or I forget what they are. I subscribe to all of them. I get them all. And you can back it up to in other ways. I did not back it up, so I was very happy. I told you that yesterday about the transferring all my stuff over here. It took just minutes. I got everything. Didn't lose anything. And then today, I thought, wait a minute, and I went and checked, and there's no data, and I failed. I had never backed up the data, so it's okay. I'll start off, because I'm not going to see my doctor hopefully for 2 or 3 months, and I'll have lots of data for him to see. Anyway, that's the story. Well, let me end this. Try to avoid, my ex-wife and I have type 2 diabetes. Try to avoid diabetes, and especially with young children or whatever. Try to make sure it's worse, the younger you are when you get it. And really it's, it's hereditary. Nobody in my family ever had it that I know of, ever. And, but it has to do with weight, diet, diet. Did I mention exercise? You can do a lot to make sure you do. And when I was going to the doctor for a couple years or whatever, every time they would do the blood work, they'd say that I was very close to being diabetic, and I didn't really do anything about that. And I didn't really change my diet much or do much about that. And so then I kicked into, to being a diabetic. If you're in that area, if you're pre-diabetic or whatever, definitely try to make sure you don't go, start working then on preventing that. And if you got kids, take their, turn off the internet or whatever you have to do, and get them away from the gaming machines and the television sets or whatever, and kick them outside, make them run around and play like they used when I was a kid. You kind of wonder about the gun culture in the United States. When I was, and I don't think we got television didn't come to Kansas City, Missouri till I think I was like 10. Someplace in that range. You could go do a search for WDAF. That was the first TV station, and I'm sure it would say what year, that TV went online in Kansas City, Missouri. Wouldn't have been online, but you know what I mean. And we played guns, Indians, cavalry, cowboys and Indians, army. And in the wintertime, we made forts, snow forts, and threw snowballs like they were grenades. We, had all those little tiny soldiers. Have you ever watched Toy Story, and the little rubber soldiers or whatever? We all did. I had a ton of those, and we'd dig into the red clay of Missouri and make little. And if it was around July, we'd be throwing little firecrackers at them. We'd have them dug in their position. We just played guns all the time. So that's a little bit. Well, it doesn't explain though younger people. But men, my age, in whatever bracket I'm in, I'm 75, that explains a little bit the gun culture. I remember when I got my first cap gun that you could, I got a cap gun one year, and the cartridges came out. And then you put a little round cap underneath, and you slid them into the chambers, and you could twirl, And then I remember I got a realistic looking rifle that would have been 55, 54, 53. I'm going to say about 1953. My father worked at, we lived in Kansas City, Missouri, but my father worked building an H-bomb plant. He was a Boilermaker in Savannah, Georgia. And so we were living in government trailers for the summer, because my mother and I went there for the summer when school was out. So I spent 3 months in the South. First question kids asked me when I got there, what state are you from? And of course I said Missouri, and that was okay, because I think their flag had the Missouri flag, had a star on it for Missouri, but in Missouri, the legislature had voted to join the South because Missouri was a slave state, but the military was right there, and the Union military was right there and took over the Missouri legislature. And so Missouri, of course, I'm sure a lot of, but so I said Missouri, and I was okay. Thank God I didn't say from Massachusetts or New York or something. But I spent a summer there, and how did I get on that story? I had a reason that I was going to tell you, and now I can't remember what it was, and I'm going to stop before you all call 911 and report there is a man on YouTube with Alzheimer's. Thank you for watching. I got to send an email to my family now saying no, she didn't call the ambulance.